Let's try that again. There we go. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's Pastor Anthony here with your Daily Excellence. Thank you guys so much for being on here on this Tuesday night, August 12th. And it is a little after 8 p.m. So thank you guys so much for being here. A part of the broadcast. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. We've got 10,000 Lakes BC. Thank you for being here. One of our moderators. Welcoming you guys into the chat room. So thank you guys so much for being here. And we're going to have Brother Greg from the NyPrepper Channel. That is the wrong one. That was last week's. Hold on. Let's try that one. There we go. NyPrepper Channel. Greg is going to be in here in just a little bit. But he's going to call in probably in about 20 minutes or so. And we're going to do a update on some of the global conflicts and things that are taking place. Primarily talking about what's happening with Russia and Ukraine and this massive deal that Donald Trump has made with Russia. And, you know, does it potentially involve a land grab for Russia? And is it a win-win for Russia and Ukraine? What's this all about? So we're going to talk to Greg from NyPrepper about that. Also, I'm going to pick his head a little bit this evening about some things happening here on the home front with the Dems taking off and leaving Texas, and of course the vote getting passed there in Texas for redistricting, the federalization of Washington, D.C., just kind of see, you know, where things could potentially lead, because you have to understand when we see Donald Trump doing the things that he's doing in his personal administration, you have to understand and believe that the other side is watching this, okay? They're watching what Donald Trump is doing, what he's getting away with, and how he's doing it, because you know the other side, when their turn rolls around, they're going to do it against us as well. And this is the new government. We call this a kangaroo government, kangaroo court, however you want to do it. It's the new way of government. Very common in third world countries, second world countries. We see this in African nations. We see this over in South America. When new administrations come on, the government just switches completely, and it's a weaponization against those who oppose the other side. And so we have to be very careful with what we see, because this will turn around at some point against us if we're not careful. And so those are some of the questions I'm going to ask tonight when NyPrepper comes on. Until then, we're going to go over a couple of things that are breaking across the land and the world today using our sources, Disclose TV and End Time Headline News. But before we get into all that, let's do a quick roll call and we'll see who's all in the chat room with us tonight. We've got a nice little crowd starting to develop here on YouTube. We got a handful of you guys watching us over on Rumble. We got Connie Tate that's joined us. We got Mama Eagle, Beverly Judica, BS Gaming Blitz. We have Texas Girl, Jennifer Asbury, Belinda Repose, Black Bear 71, Ginger Lucy, Sergeant Johnson, Jenny H, and Wendy Eardley joining us. So thank you guys so much for being here, being a part of our channel tonight. We're glad to have each and every one of you. If you're watching us over on Rumble, you can shoot over on the live chat there. I have it up and I can see what you're doing there. We may have a little bit of a delay time. We usually are behind by about 10-15 seconds over on Rumble. So Sandy M from Austin, Texas, it's good to see you on tonight. Welcome, welcome. So we'll get into some of these subjects. Of course, before we do, we were going to give our sponsor EMP Shield their 60 seconds on here tonight, and we'll be right back with you guys in just a moment.
With over 37 models that can be used around the world, our family of EMP protection devices installs easily in minutes. Being employed this year by federal organizations and electrical companies, the EMP Shield has been tested at Keystone Compliance, a federally approved DoD testing facility. Also serving as one of the world's fastest whole home surge protection devices, working in less than 1 nanosecond, the EMP Shield will protect against electromagnetic pulses, coronal mass ejections, lightning, and all forms of power surges. Proven to withstand more than 40 EMP strikes with zero degradation, the EMP Shield is also one of the world's strongest surge protectors, capable of withstanding over 100,000 amps.
All right, guys, that is our sponsor, EMP Shield. If you haven't done so yet and would like to, you can get yourself an EMP Shield device for your car, your boat, your generator, anything that's electronic that's in your home that you would like to protect from electromagnetic pulses, whether they come from the sun, come from a lightning, or come from any type of weaponry that could potentially be used against us. It will protect the circuit breakers, and it will protect all the electrical components in there. Of course, this is what the Department of Justice uses here in the United States for our military, and of course for government buildings and things like that. It's built here in the United States, so it's not coming from China or anything like that. So you can do that. Purchase it at empshield.com. Make sure you use promo code DAILY. When you use our promo code specifically, you will earn $50 off of the device that you purchase. Okay, that's not 50%. But that is an actual $50 off of the device that you purchase. And so when you do that, not only do you protect your home and save a little bit of money out of pocket by using our promo code, but you also help us here at Daily Excellence, because we actually get a certain percentage of that that goes to support our channel and the work that we do here at Daily Excellence. So we appreciate anything that you can do. And of course, once again, make sure you join our friends. Take a look at them over at empshield.com. All right, let's see. We've got MD joining us tonight. Thank you for being on here. Clary, good to see you tonight. Let's see. Somebody else popped on here. We had BDK55. Good to see you with us. Or I'm sorry, I think it's BKD55. There we go. Thank you guys so much for being on here tonight. All right. While we're waiting for Greg, because we're going to have Greg from NyPrepper, who's going to be on here at around 8:30. He's going to call in, and we're going to ask him some questions. But while we're doing that, let's go over a couple of things that are happening. This is from End Times Headline News, and this has kind of been this has really been the story for quite some time. As Earth continues to be plummeted by disaster after disaster. Now, it's important to note that what we're about to read here is an article that came yesterday from End Times Headlines. And it is an opinion piece, okay? So this is not fact, but this is an opinion. But as always, these opinion pieces are pretty good to check out and read. So I'm going to see if I can blow this up on the screen for you guys and make it a little bit bigger. Here we go. All right. It says, so many disasters are happening so frequently that it is almost impossible to keep up with them all. Somehow 2025 has become the year of the flood. Where have we heard that before? And the year of fire. Where have we heard that before? Starting to sound familiar for some of you guys that pay attention to COT and Paul Begley. I'll read that again. Somehow 2025 has become the year of the flood and the year of the fire simultaneously. Pretty interesting. 2025 is also the year of the largest earthquake that we have witnessed this decade. The magnitude 8.8 earthquake that recently shook the Pacific Ring of Fire was quickly followed by hundreds of other very large earthquakes. Overall, there have been 494 earthquakes of at least a magnitude 5.0 within a recent 30-day period. Many were hoping that things would settle down during the month of August, but over the past few days, there have been many new disasters making headlines all over the globe. For example, unprecedented rainfall causes enormous flash flooding that ripped through Wisconsin State Fair. Flash flooding slammed parts of Wisconsin on Saturday evening, forcing revealers at the state fair to flee and left residents trapped inside their homes. Torrential rainfall battered the Badger State, with the National Weather Service issuing flash flooding warnings for Milwaukee, West Allis, and Waukesha. Images emerged of flooding waters rising over cars in the state. In one clip, a man seen stranded sitting on the hood of his car as fast-flowing water passes him. When I say unprecedented rainfall, I'm not kidding. Some parts of Milwaukee have actually had over 14 inches of rain so far, and more rain is coming. Well, Milwaukee was hit with 5.74 inches of rain on Saturday, setting a new daily record for the area. The rain has only continued since, with some areas of Milwaukee receiving more than 14 inches of total rainfall as of Sunday morning, according to the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewage District. Central Plains and Midwest regions are set to see even more rain and flash floods, according to the National Weather Service. Severe thunderstorms, hail, isolated tornadoes could threaten the region through Sunday night. This sort of thing is happening over and over in 25. Why is that? In the old days, 1,000-year storms used to be quite rare, but now they are occurring all the time. Just look what happened in Chicago in late July. More than 5 inches of rain fell in 2 hours. Torrential rainfall that pounded Chicago on July 25th was so extreme that it typically occurs once every 1,000 years, according to the National Weather Service. Midday July 25th, a corridor of the extreme rainfall developed along a stalled atmospheric boundary on the south side of Chicago. As much as 5.61 inches of rain fell at Garfield Ridge in just 2 hours. Extreme rain was also observed at Bedford Park, near the border with Clearing, where an unofficial gauge measured 5.98 inches in 3 hours. Let's see if they'll let us go further here. So it looks like the article cut off here on us. So anyway, this is kind of just talking about the article here, which seemed to have kind of kick off on me. Let's see. We're going to look at that here in just a second, by the way, what you're seeing there. Give me just a second here if I can find it. I don't know why the article kind of kicked off on me, but it did. Give me just a second here. See if I can find it. We're going to get there, I promise. All right, here we go. I had to go to a different site, but I found it. All right, here we go. Bringing this back up. All right, it says, so the article is talking about all the flooding and things that were happening here on our side of the planet. But then it says here, and I'll blow this up so you guys can read along with me. But it says conditions have been even worse on the other side of the planet. The amount of rainfall that fell in Owosso County, China, has been absolutely insane. At least 10 people have died after that county received up to half of the country's annual rainfall on August 7th and 8th. Let's see, I'm going to try to skip on some of this. On Friday, meanwhile, the year of fire just continues to roll on. On Friday, a brand new wildfire suddenly erupted in Los Angeles area. Speaking of wildfires, for those of you who live in the northern part of the U.S., this has been a very smoky summer, with Canada being on fire most of the summer, by the way. It says a fierce wildfire northwest of Los Angeles prompted evacuation orders of thousands of residents on Friday as extreme heat and dry conditions fueled its rapid spread. The blaze, named the Canyon Fire, ignited on Thursday afternoon along the border of Ventura and Los Angeles counties. By Friday evening, it had expanded from 30 acres to nearly 5,400 acres. Okay. Authorities believe that they are getting the Canyon Fire under control, but the Guilford Fire has now grown to 114,000 acres. Evacuation orders remain in effect for parts of Central California as the mastered Guilford Fire crosses the 110, which is now 114,000 acre threshold. So the fire is the largest of the year in California, with more than 114,000 acres scorched, according to fire officials. Nearly 3,000 firefighters our firefighting personnel are attacking the blaze that's burning primarily in the rural areas of Santa Barbara and San Luis counties. The fire is 21% contained as of Sunday morning. Another mega fire over Arizona that has literally been raging since July 4th has been so intense that it is literally spawning pyrocumulus clouds. Now, those you normally see those particular type of clouds in volcanic explosions. When the heat is so intense coming from the lava and the smoke that it causes these pyrocumulus clouds. Well, this is how hot this fire is, that it's actually causing these particular clouds as well. So massive fire burning near Grand Canyon has been so intense and been so intense at times that has created its own weather. So let's see. The Dragon Bravo fire, which has scorched more than 130,000 acres in Arizona north of the Grand Canyon, has become so hot that it has spurred pyrocumulus clouds or fire clouds. At points, the fire-driven clouds can form when the heat and the smoke from a very large wildfire is released into the atmosphere, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Nevertheless, the extremely hot and dry conditions in Arizona right now are perfect for this fire. Sorry, guys. If you can believe it, high temperatures in Phoenix reached 118 on August 7th. That was the hottest August day in over 120 years of record keeping. So we got the high heat there. I'm going to skip over a little bit. At the same time, our planet continues to get monkey hammered by large earthquakes in diverse places. On Sunday, with a magnitude 6.1 earthquake causing buildings to collapse in heavily populated areas of Turkey. Let's see. Also, I'm just kind of going to skim through this for time's sake. We had a 5.9 earthquake that rattled the coastline of Guatemala. That took place. Earthquakes of magnitude of 6.0 or greater used to get a lot of attention. That's true. They don't so much anymore because we've had higher earthquakes. But now they just keep happening one after the other. On top of everything else, space rocks are entering our atmosphere at an alarming rate. In fact, a giant fireball lit up the skies over Australia on Sunday, with a blazing fireball lit over the skies of Australia before a death-defying bang rattled homes and sent social media into meltdown. The Spectator meteor was spotted just before 8 p.m. on Sunday by Victoria residents who thought they saw a blinding flash followed by a ground-shaking boom. All right, so we got meteors coming in to the Earth at an alarming rate. We've got wildfires, we've got earthquakes, we've got floods. If you're still waiting for everything to go back to normal, you can stop, because it simply is not going to happen. Okay, that's what it says. All right. So the author, and this is talking about an author that wrote a book entitled The 10 Perfect Events That Are Coming Next, which is available in paperback. He has also, let's see, give me just a second here because I didn't read through this part. Anyway, it says, give me just a second. So anyway, this looks like it was pretty much just promoting a book here. But anyway, interesting article. There's some other things here you guys can check out, but I skimmed over a lot of it for time's sake. But anyway, we've been getting hammered all summer long with intense rains, intense earthquakes, intense fires, meteors coming in, things like that. And as the author there was saying, you know, if you're waiting for things to get back to normal, it's not going to. Okay, these things are going to continue. We talked about this last week here on the channel as well with Stephen Ben-Danoon. You know, these are the birthing pains. This is Matthew 24, Luke 21. These are the days of sorrow. We knew these days were coming, and as a woman that is in travail and getting ready to give birth, we know that those contractions or those birthing pains will get closer and get closer and get closer and closer. So what does that mean? The events and everything that we're seeing, the time frame in between each event is going to get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Just like that article said, we used to, when there was a 6.0 earthquake, that used to be like a major, massive news. Like, you would see like the Red Cross doing telethons for, for raising money for the victims of like a 6.0 earthquake. Well, the 6.0 earthquakes happen all the time now. Now we've graduated to like 8.0. And it's even been theorized that the San Andreas Fault in California, I saw it this week, that they're predicting an 8.8, 9.0 earthquake to strike in that region as the San Andreas Fault appears to be ready and completely charged for a earthquake in that region. So if you're living in that part of California, please, be aware of that. When it'll happen, we don't know. But however, they are very concerned for that particular part of California. So please be very careful of that. And if that wasn't enough, we got some really weird stuff going on over here that I thought was kind of interesting. I won't spend too much time on this, but warning, as a Frankenstein, rabbits invade parts of the U.S. Why do we have weird-looking rabbits in the United States? It's because of a virus. Okay, and it says a virus is causing rabbits in part of the United States, particularly Colorado, to develop some physical mutations, including black tentacle-like growths on their face. The condition linked to cottontail. I don't even know what that word is. So I'm just going to say cottontail virus, known as the SOAP virus, which causes tumors to grow on or near the animal's head, and was first noted in 2024. Resident Susan Mansfield reported seeing a rabbit with quill-like protrusions. So this is a new virus hitting rabbits. It looks like in Colorado. Colorado Parks and Wildlife advises the public to avoid these infected rabbits, stressing do not touch them. Although the virus is not believed to pose a risk to humans or pets, it can lead to painful tumors and potentially deadly skin cancer on rabbits. The virus spreads mainly through mosquito and tick bites. Local officials recommend keeping a distance from the infected animals. So yeah, stay away from those rabbits. Pestilence in the last days. It doesn't affect just humans, guys. This is going to the animal population. Although I do have, in my personal opinion, I have a little bit of a hard time believing that this doesn't affect humans, especially if it's being spread through ticks and mosquitoes. I don't know. If you get bit by a mosquito or by a tick, that can cause like tentacle-like tumors to come out to be exposed on a rabbit, and you get bit by something like that. Can't tell me that doesn't have something to do with humans as well. So I'm not 100% sure about that one. I don't think they're quite telling us. Something's telling me they're not telling us everything on that particular one. That's just my personal opinion on that. But I would say the article is definitely true. If you see one, probably should keep your distance away from them. Matter of fact, I hate to say it because I'm reading the comments and I know people are like, this is sad to see this. I hate to see critters suffer, is what Bob Lemon's over there writing, but I hate to see it. But if you happen to see one of those, it may not be a bad idea to probably eradicate those to keep that from spreading to other animals. And chances are that particular animal is probably suffering. So it may not be a bad idea to put them out of their misery just for the safety of other things. So just saying, may not be a popular view, but you would hope we can do what we can not to get to spread that along. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting, weird kind of news coming there. We got several of you guys that are coming on right here. Good to see you, Kim and Bob and Soul Reactivator. Good to have you on, George Schmink. Good to have you on, Richard. It says, hey, Pastor Anthony, have you ever checked into the binary system of their second sun that orbits around our sun every 3,500 years? We have talked about the binary system a few times. Matter of fact, myself and Stephen Ben-Noon just discussed that last week. So you can go check out the video that we did with Stephen Ben the Noon last week. We believe it's a contributor to a lot of the weather phenomenon and atmospheric conditions we're seeing here on the Earth and the changing of the tilt. It's also my personal belief that also could have been what aided in in Noah's flood that brought about the meteors that broke the canopy that used to encompass the Earth, because there used to be a water canopy over the Earth around that time, kept the entire Earth in a climate-controlled homeostasis, and then it was busted. We believe it was that particular system that was coming across that caused that. We believe we saw it again when the Lord held the sun back for a few days in the Old Testament. So there's been when you read the Bible, read the Old Testament, you can kind of see where during different events, the timetable of that particular scenario coming in. So, but anyway, as I was getting ready to say, here in just a few moments, we're going to have NyPrepper, Greg from NyPrepper. It's going to be popping on here. We're going to ask him some questions, get him some updates on some of the global conflicts that are going on here in the world. Mainly, we're going to focus tonight because we're only going to have him on for kind of a short time, but we're going to focus on Russia and the Ukraine. Going to get his insights about this mega deal that Trump has made, or trying to make with Russia, as Trump is supposed to meet with Vladimir Putin. And then we're going to look at some stuff on what's going on here on the home side, the state side, as we've got things going on with the federalization of Washington, D.C. We've got things going on in Texas with the Democrats that ran out. And as of today, the Texas Republicans passed the new redistricting borders in Texas without the Democrat Party. Of course, this has caused quite a whirlwind, and a lot of people are up in arms on that particular side of the aisle. Black Bear 71 says tomorrow YouTube ID needed to watch videos. I believe that YouTube ID is only if the artificial intelligence deems your channel or deems you as being under the age of 18. If you need to prove that you're 18 years old, you will then need to prove it by they're using your ID as verification. However, majority of you will probably be okay from what I understand. But yes, if they're going to be using AI technology to go through what you watch, and based upon what you watch, they're going to determine whether you're under the age of 18 or not. If you are under the age of 18, you're going to need verification to prove that you're 18 years old, I think is what they're doing. It's for minors, is what my understanding is. All right, let's see if we can find something else here real quick. Speaking of artificial intelligence, since we're talking about artificial intelligence, this has come out as of today. An AI Jesus chatbot is preying on desperate and gullible Christians. That's right. AI has made its own Jesus. Artificial intelligence programs across the internet are making an extraordinary claim. They are Jesus Christ himself. These aren't virtual assistants helping with daily tasks. Instead, these are chatbots presenting themselves as the Son of God, offering spiritual guidance, answering prayers, and even taking confessions from believers. A phenomenon is attracting a significant attention from curious and devout users. Like one app, Ask Jesus, reports gaining 30,000 active monthly users within 3 days of launching. And when visitors open AI Jesus, they're greeted with the words, "Greetings, my dear friend. It is I, Jesus Christ. I have come to you in this AI form to provide wisdom, comfort, and teachings in the way of God in the Bible and Jesus Christ himself." A new study from Anne Harhoef, a professor of philosophy at Northwest University in South Africa, examines this growing trend, warning that these chatbots pose a new kind of challenge. They don't just imitate human-made in God's image. They claim to be God. Where have we heard this before? I've been talking about this AI stuff for the last couple of weeks. You know, when I talk about this AI stuff, it's really interesting because the views I get on this channel just drop significantly whenever I get into the subject of AI. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with this, but I do want to make you aware that there are 5 popular AI Jesus platforms: AI Jesus, Virtual Jesus, Jesus AI, Text with Jesus, and Ask Jesus. He found none were created or endorsed by any church. Okay, it means no church has put this out. No organization, no denomination, no religious firm, nobody has actually developed any of these apps for a virtual Jesus. This was created by someone else and outside of the body of Christ. All right. Instead, they are ran for a profit companies with names like Supreme Chaos, All Stars Production LLC, and Catloaf Software. All 5 relying on advertising to generate revenue. And Text with Jesus also sells premium subscriptions. So pretty interesting stuff there. But as we can see with AI technology and all of these things coming about, this is part of that great delusion that we were talking about, how they're going to use AI technology to make everybody feel good. And of course, they're going after you as Christians by making you feel like Jesus is actually talking to you from AI. But it's not real. And just as we read in the article, there are no churches, there are no denominations, there is nobody in the body of Christ that has actually put this stuff out. These are secular companies, Supreme Chaos, All Stars Production LLC, Catloaf Software, that are generating these apps basically so they can make money off of you guys. And they're selling premium subscriptions so that you can do that. But within the first 3 days of launch, 30,000 subscribers are logging on and buying into this and are listening to what this virtual AI Jesus is telling them. And that's very scary because as time goes on, the messaging can change for those who follow this person or this entity that they're watching. And if they don't know scripture, they don't know the Bible, they could be believing the wrong thing. They can be duped. They can be misled. Very important, and especially in these last days, that you know what the Word of God says, that you read your Bible, because if you don't know what the Word of God says, even though you say you're a Christian, you will be misled in these last days. You will be part of that falling away because of a lack of knowledge, okay? And so very important that you read God's Word, because when we see systems like this come up, they're going to start off with a knowledge of truth. And it's going to start off sounding good. It's going to start off, it might even start off as being a good thing, but as time evolves and as we go through this, it's going to change because they're counting and they're banking on the fact that you don't read your Bible, okay? And statistically, majority of Christians don't. It's just true. Majority of Christians in the United States don't spend a whole lot of time reading their word, and there is a very strong illiteracy when it comes to Bible knowledge in the body of Christ, especially here in America. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people don't know basic stories of the Bible, like Noah, like the story of Noah, or Jonah the whale, or Moses, or the story of Joseph, the stuff that used to be taught in Sunday schools. You would be surprised how many people don't know these stories. How many adults don't know their stories. So if adults don't know the stories, you know their kids and grandkids don't know it. And it's very sad. And so with that type of lack of knowledge in the land, if you get an AI Jesus that pops up on your cell phone and it makes you feel good, you're going to fall into that trap. And they're banking on that. They are banking on that. So we got a few of you guys that are popping on. We are waiting for our guest tonight. Greg from NyPrepper is going to come on tonight as we get a global update on what is going on around the world tonight. And let me get a double check on him, see if he's going to pop in tonight. Give me just a second here. So that is some of the things that are taking place with that. Let's see what else we can get into while we're waiting for Greg to pop on this evening. Oh, a couple of things. I haven't even gone through any of my announcements tonight, surprisingly. Few things. Tomorrow night is Pastor Talk here on the channel. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check us out with Pastor Talk, it's a good opportunity to do that. It starts at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Myself and my wife, we come on. We have a time of a devotional with you guys. We take your prayer requests and we pray for those requests at the end of the night or at the end of the broadcast. Also, it's just a good time for us to come together as Daily Excellence family, and we play, we play a little trivia with you guys. We play a little game. Just a good time to kind of sit back, relax, take a break from the week. And so we do that on Wednesday evenings from 6, starting at 6 o'clock. And so make sure that you guys are here tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we will be on with Pastor Talk. Make sure you join us as well over on our Facebook, which we are live tonight over on Facebook. Make sure you guys check us out there. And my Aunt Diane from Southeast Texas is watching us tonight. So good to have my Aunt Diane on tonight. Thank you so much. Also, we are on Instagram. You guys can check us out on Instagram. We just put out a new reel today on both places, so check that out. We do that so it makes it easier for you guys to follow us and to share those reels that we put out and those verses and things with other people. Also, you get an opportunity to see what we do behind the scenes here at Daily Excellence. You kind of get to go with me wherever I go when I do these reels. You see what we do with our young adults, our students. You see what we do with our ministry at our church and things like that. So it's a good behind the scenes of what we do. We also are on LinkedIn. And we put up a lot of things over on LinkedIn as well that kind of showcase the nonprofit side of Daily Excellence. As we do work with adoption agencies, we work with Christian education, which we've been sponsoring this year. We help help children out over in Gaza and in Israel and in South America and in Africa and things like that with World Vision. So we've been doing some of that. Those works as well. So anything that you guys give to Daily Excellence, when you do that, a percentage of your giving goes to support those organizations. It also supports our students here in the Owosso area. And so thank you, 10,000 Lakes BCs, for putting those links up in the descriptions there for us. And so, all right, we are waiting for Greg from NyPrepper to come on. He should be coming on shortly. Good to have you guys with us on Rumble. Those of you watching us on X, thank you for being here tonight. And let's see where else we can go. Give me just a second here. Speaking of AI, we'll just continue on with that for a moment. Disclose TV is bringing this out. AI-powered radar can spy on cell phones from 10 feet, exposing new privacy risks. Talk about the ultimate spying technology, or the ultimate eavesdropper. Penn State researchers have developed a system that uses millimeter wave radar and AI to intercept phone conversations from up to 10 feet away, highlighting significant privacy risks. The technology captures subdued vibrations from a phone's earpiece, decoding them into speech with approximately 60% accuracy. When we talk on cell phones, we tend to ignore the vibrations that come through the earpiece and cause the whole phone to vibrate. And so I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, guys. But by combining radar used in self-driven cars and 5G networks with an adapted AI speech recognition model called Whisper, the team of transcribers conversations over 10,000 word vocabulary. If we capture these same vibrations, you're using remote radars and bring them into machine learning to help us learn what is being said using context clues, we can determine whole conversations. And so yeah, they're using AI technology now, and of course, vibrations coming from your phone to know exactly what you're saying from 10 feet away. Of course, technologies like this have been in place for quite some time, using certain radars and stuff. This is pretty common when police are doing stings or to get ready to do a raid. If they're trying to find out what's going on, what the climate's inside of a building, they'll do that. However, being able to do that with people's cell phones is a little bit different. And of course, this is the continued invasion of privacy that we see in our phones. Continued invasion of privacy that we see in our society. And of course, once again, being backed up by artificial intelligence, you being backed by AI technology. Like we said, a lot of stuff going on with AI, guys. We've been talking about this for several weeks now, with facial recognition software being implemented in churches across China using AI facial recognition, with the Neuralink chip implants going, which, by the way, there is a new company coming up that is going to rival Elon Musk's company of Neuralink, and they're also going to be doing human trials of computer chip implants as well. So now we got two companies popping up that are going to be using this technology, of course, all ran by artificial intelligence, with these new computer chips that are being implemented into the minds of into people's minds. Like I said, last week or week before last, Elon Musk's company Neuralink is already on their 9th person. This is public information. You can check this out anywhere. But of course, they are doing some incredible things with it. If you're a paraplegic, you're able to walk. If you're blind, you're able to see. If you have hearing issues, you can hear all these things. And if it was to be just used for good, it would be a great thing. But we know where this is going to go because the Bible tells us in the book of Revelation, the mark that is going to come in your head or your forehead. And once you take it, boom, you're done. You won't be able to be saved anymore. You will forever be with the enemy himself. You'll be marked. Now we see why. Because once you get that chip inside of you, you're not going to have control over your emotions. You're not going to have control over your decision making, who you are. You're under that great disillusion that Scripture talks about. Of course, this is my personal interpretation of that thing that's coming. And so this stuff, it's technology. It always starts off good, but then it turns into something evil later on, okay? This is how it always goes. And so we've been warning you guys. We've been talking about this particular stuff for almost 2 years now, and now it's here, okay? We talked about it, so now it's here. So anyway, all right, let's see. All right, NyPrepper is about to log on here in just a second. He says he's going to give him about 2 more minutes, and he will be on here. So those of you that are popping on ready to listen to him, he will be on here in just about 2 more minutes. And we'll get some questions and answers out of him tonight. As when he pops on, we're going to ask him questions about what Russia and the Ukraine, the massive deal that Donald Trump has made with Vladimir Putin, which has made Zelensky not very happy. We're going to talk about the federalization of Washington, D.C. tonight, and kind of get into some of the stuff that's going on down in Texas with the Democrats taking off running for the hills as the Republicans pass a vote to redistrict without the Democrats. And so, of course, that's caused quite a political firestorm. The question I have for Greg is, are we beginning to see the union break apart? It was theorized several years ago that the United States would break into 5 separate nations with 5 different capitals in the future because of political unrest in the United States based on a 2-party system. And this was theorized over a decade ago. I believe there was a book that was written called Empire State. I don't know if it was by LaHaye that wrote that book, but I remember reading it, and it was pretty interesting to to see his views on the future state of America. Of course, this was like 10 years ago, and some of those views have now come into light since that time. So we'll see what happens with that. Homesteading DIY. Good to have you on tonight. We're glad that you're with us. Texas Girl, good to have you on with us this evening. Thank you for being here. A Fed A. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming on tonight. Let's see who's over on Rumble this evening. Those of you that are watching over on X tonight, you can chat on the live chat over there, and I will see it on my end. It will pop up. So just thought I'd let you guys know. So, all right. I am going to return here in just about 60 seconds. I'm going to run through our EMP Shield sponsor one last time. I'm going to rest my throat for about 60 seconds, and then hopefully by then we will have Greg from NyPrepper on with us. So be back in just 1 minute.
With over 37 models that can be used around the world, our family of EMP protection devices installs easily in minutes. Being employed this year by federal organizations and electrical companies, the EMP Shield has been tested at Keystone Compliance, a federally approved DoD testing facility. Also serving as one of the world's fastest whole home surge protection devices, working in less than 1 nanosecond, the EMP Shield will protect against electromagnetic pulses, coronal mass ejections, lightning, and all forms of power surges. Proven to withstand more than 40 EMP strikes with zero degradation, the EMP Shield is also one of the world's strongest surge protectors, capable of withstanding over 100,000 amps.
All right, that is EMP Shield. Thanks for hanging in there for a minute. It gave me a chance to get a drink there for a second. So anyway, we should have NyPrepper on here in just a second. If you do hear any noise in the background, we do have a storm that's rolling through tonight. It is raining and thundering outside. And so so you may be hearing that. Greg is saying he's got a low signal over where he's at, so he's trying to find a cell tower, so he should be on with us here pretty soon, hopefully. Speaking of guests, though, in about 2 weeks, we are going to have L.A. Marzulli on the channel with us, and we are going to be talking about the revealing of the Antichrist, and we're going to get into the interview that he did with the Mahdi, that he did about 3 months ago. And so L.A. Marzulli will be on with us on, I believe it's the 20, let me look at it. I believe it's the 26th of this month, in about 2 weeks. Yes, 26th of August. That's in 2 weeks. He is going to be joining us. And then we're also looking at getting another gentleman to come on, hopefully next Tuesday, by the name of Tattoo Grandpa. He's actually Dr. Bulk. He's actually a Dr. Burkholder from World Harvest or Valor Christian College out of Columbus, Ohio. He's a professor, but he's going to be coming on, or we're going to try to get him on for next Tuesday here on the channel. And then on September 2nd, we're looking at getting Greg from NyPrepper back on tonight. The one that's going to be with us tonight, we're looking at getting him back up for a follow-up on the 2nd. So the next 3 weeks, we've got plenty of guests that will be coming on here on the channel on Tuesday night. So you don't want to miss that. Make sure you have your notifications plugged in. But for sure, on August 26th, we have this confirmed and written down, but we will have L.A. Marzulli here on the channel. And we are looking forward to what he will have to bring for us as we begin to look at the revealing of the Antichrist and have discussions about his conversation with a Mahdi. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few months ago we did a video here about the Mahdi, and this was a gentleman that was going around. He's got followers from like 40 different countries. A lot of people believe that he is like the new, kind of like Jesus Christ and the Muhammad all wrapped in one. And so that's kind of where he's, kind of thinks that he's that particular person. And so I've had a chance to kind of go through some of the interviews that they've had with it, and it's a pretty interesting. His outlook is for him scary. For me, it makes sense when you understand end times prophecy and people that are going to come and say that I'm this and I'm that, but they're not. So. Pretty interesting stuff there. We're starting to see some of the NyPrepper subscribers join in. Clarissa, good to have you on. Michelle Law, Jennifer, good to see you guys. I think, Jennifer, you've been on. So that means Greg is not too far behind. So we're waiting for him to come on. I hope he finds that cell signal here pretty shortly tonight. But he did say he's having a signal issue over there where he's at. So he's trying to find a cell tower. As soon as he finds one, he will be on with us this evening. All right, let's see what else we can find real quick. Give me just a second here, guys. Benjamin Duckworth, good to have you on tonight. China releases chilling submarine footage as crew vows to launch nukes without hesitation. This just came out today. Danny, good to have you on tonight. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all your work that you do for us over on X, sir. Thank you so much. China has unveiled a rare video of its newest nuclear power ballistic missile submarine setting off on an extended patrol mission with a crew member vowing to state media that it would launch the vessel's nuclear weapons without hesitation if commanded. The Type O-94 class submarine carries an estimated production price tag of approximately $750 million, with a fleet previously characterized as China's first credible sea-based nuclear deterrent by the United States Department of Defense, setting sail from the nation's heavily secured Longo Naval Base on Hainan Island. The footage marks the first known public confirmation of this submarine's class being actively deployed. Longpo Naval Base is thought to harbor the majority of China's strategic submarine fleet and has recently received its newest J-20 fifth generation fighter aircraft and J-16 heavyweight fighter squadrons. China has accelerated incentives to upgrade all military divisions in recent years through its collection of advanced ballistic missile submarines remains relatively modest compared to other globe powers. So this is news coming out of China. Pretty expensive submarine, $750 million submarine made in China with a crew on there that says that they will use nukes without hesitation, as they are, loyal to Xi Jinping and the Chinese Globalist Party. So that was an article that came out today, fresh over there at endtimesheadline.org. So if you guys are ever looking for good articles that with conservative backing to it, I would highly suggest End Times Headline News. That's where I go to do a lot of news articles. You get a lot of stuff over there you're not going to get on mainstream media. You're definitely not going to find it on MSNBC or CNN or anything like that. Disclosed TV would probably be a close second on that one, but definitely check those out for sure. So let's see here. What's going on? So we've got thunder rolling here in the background here tonight. It's about time we get some rain. We haven't had any rain out here in a long time. Everything's been turning brown in the last few weeks, so it's good to see the rain tonight. And of course, things weren't enough. Mexico and the United States appear to be not getting along again, as Donald Trump stated earlier today that he would use the military, if need be, to take out the cartels. And Mexico's president, bantered back and said, not on our soil. So, of course, that's what they're saying publicly. Who knows, behind closed doors, she may be, saying, yes, please come over here and do what you need to do. So, Denny says, Pastor Ricky just had a great video about America becoming a police state coming. Yeah. That's the thing I've always kind of said about this, about the United States. A certain party, which I can't say, they say that they're a party of peace, and they say that they want everyone to have freedoms and liberties and things like that. But I personally believe a lot of this stuff is manufactured and controlled chaos to get to a certain place where the people cry out for action. And then that action comes, and it ends up being what they've always wanted anyway, which is some sort of a police state or a military state here in the United States. And so if you want to get your way, cause chaos. If you want people to move in a direction that they normally wouldn't move into, create fear. And so old tactics. We've seen many countries do this. A lot of foreign countries do this. A lot of dictatorship countries do this. And we've seen that now in our own country. And I'm not picking on this administration, but we've seen that with the last several administrations. But it's just gotten worse and worse as each administration comes on board. And as I stated before, Donald Trump, as we federalize U.S. cities and as we, use our military and its might, and we make these changes, which for the short term are essentially, in my opinion, good changes for America. You can't, you have to know that somewhere on the other line, on the other side, they're watching. And that somewhere down the line, because American history, we get a period with the Democrat and we get a period with the Republican, and then we go back to a Democrat. Don't think that this stuff isn't going to be used against the opposing side when the Democrats return. These guys are taking notes and they're watching. This stuff, it's kind of like what we saw in the Obama administration, executive orders. Remember that? And before then, executive orders really were not really used all that much unless it was something really, really important. However, we've seen in the Obama administration executive orders being used all the time. Well, that created a new presidents going forward. Then Donald Trump came in, executive orders. Then Biden came in, the most executive orders ever seen. Now we're back to say everything's done with executive orders. There's not a whole lot of rules and laws being made in Congress, and so that's pretty much what it is. Dallas Prepper says, is NyPrepper a whole hour late? He's having a hard time over there. He's trying to get a signal. He should be on any second with us this evening. But yeah, he's been texting me, and I guess they're having some issues. I know we are having some weather in our area right now, so we'll see what happens tonight. Hopefully he's able to come on. We'll give him a few more minutes to see if he's able to pop on. We do have a rescheduled date of September 2nd if he's not able to make it on tonight. But my understanding, he's still looking for a spot. Yep, September 2nd will be the follow-up date if he's not able to make it on tonight. So, but hopefully he'll be able to come on. And I'm hoping to ask him some questions about Russia and Ukraine and the big deal, and talk about some of the stuff that's going on here in the U.S. But we'll see what happens if he's able to make it on here. So we'll give him a few more minutes to pop on. If not, we may have to call it, and we'll just shoot again for September 2nd tonight. So anyway, let's see. Couple of things too. Tonight over on our backup channel, DE Studios, we'll have COT on for you guys over there. Of course, everything that we post over there is the old archive broadcasts. Right now, we're in the 2015-2016 broadcast over there, but that is up and going. And so you guys can check that out. 10 o'clock. We'll be up this weekend. We haven't put the videos up yet, but we will have them up in the next day or two for premieres this weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That will only be here on YouTube and Rumble. We finally have got it to where both YouTube and Rumble are in sync with each other on these release dates. It's taken us forever to do that, but now it does happen. So we were able to do that. We are also in the process of beginning to start 24-hour streams. We're hoping this week to be able to finally get a chance and to work on that. So what we plan on doing here on the channel is having some 24-hour streams where we'll have our audio feeds from Mike over at Council of Time on. We'll also be able to, as we get into hurricane season, be able to keep up with radar imagery and satellite imagery of those hurricanes, earthquakes, and things like that. And so we're putting together something for you guys to use during those times where we need those streams up and going, because a lot of times it's hard for me to come up and break in with news, but it is easy to pop up a stream when we know something is about to happen. We can get that stream up and going for you guys so you guys can see everything in real time. And so we're looking at doing that. Gonna get a crash course in the OBS system this week and learn how to inject all that stuff. So that's coming up. Also, if you haven't done so yet, check us out over on DailyExcellence.org. We have a website there. If you would like to sign up for our newsletter, we'll have our September newsletter coming out. We'll have listed on there all the guest speakers that will be coming on and things that we have coming forward for Daily Excellence. And there will be some changes coming down the line. In the next month or two, we're going to be changing a couple of different things, more like adding, not subtracting. And so we're looking forward to some of the things that will be coming this fall. So we will reveal that in our newsletter. All right. Those guys usually get that first over there, and then we'll bring it out publicly. So you definitely want to be part of that newsletter and the announcements section of that. Very easy. Just go over to dailyexcellence.org. Subscribe to newsletter, click on that, put your name in there, your email address, and then within 30 seconds of hitting submit, you will get a email back from us confirming that you have been added. So let's see. I'm going to find out if he's able to come on tonight or not. Let's see. Give me just a second, guys. Give me just a second. So I'm gonna see what he says over on his channel there. All right, let's see what else we can find since we're waiting this evening. Kind of like flying off the seat of my pants right at the moment. Give me just a second here. BJ Bumblebee, you are good. Don't worry about it. Good to have you on tonight. Let's see. Interesting news here, guys. Remember AOL, America Online? They will officially stop offering dial-up internet service this year. So yeah, I don't know if anybody still has dial-up, but you need to upgrade if you still do, because it looks like it's going away. So that's pretty fun. Pretty funny, really. Okay. Anyway, do appreciate everybody coming on tonight. Just kind of remember, some of the subjects we talked about this evening with the earthquakes and with the pestilences and the weather phenomenon and fires and all this stuff. Whenever you see these things, remember that these are all signs of the times that we're in. Remember, it's signs to remind us, especially as Christians, that Jesus Christ is returning. We need to be prepared for his return. We need to be prepared for the coming of our Lord. And that's what these signs are for. And some people kind of get a little bit agitated and a little upset and say, why is it that God would allow such catastrophe to happen on this planet? Why would he allow the fires and this weather and the earthquakes and the diseases and all this stuff to come? And my answer to that is this. Is that, if God wanted to, he could just destroy the whole planet and take out the entire human race and be done with it. As a matter of fact, he's almost done it before with Noah's flood when he wiped out the entire earth and all the inhabitants on it and just left Noah and his family on the ark and the animals that were there. So it's actually kind of almost nearly happened before. But God isn't choosing to do that. What he's doing this time around is that he's giving us signs. He's allowing the stress of this world and of this earth to be manifested, and in hopes that humanity will pay attention and turn their eyes and their gaze toward heaven and not towards the things of this world. So really, it's a mercy play by heaven when we see these fires and when we see these pestilence, we see these earthquakes. Yes, homes get destroyed, businesses get destroyed, and yes, there are fatalities that do take place, but it's to wake us up from our slumbers, to wake us up from our sinful nature, and to realize, man, the Lord is coming. We've been talking about this for a long time. Pastors and preachers have been harping on this for decades, that this time would come, and it's here. And so when we see these things, for us as Christians, it should be a reminder of what's to come in the future. But for the world, it's a reminder. It's a reminder to wake up, repent, and take hold of Jesus Christ. And so, give me just a second here. I think we got NyPrepper on calling us tonight. Is that you, sir? It's going. I think you finally found a cell tower tonight.
Yes, I did.
So, anyway, guys, this is NyPrepper. We're doing it a little different tonight, giving us a phone call this evening. But I guess before I actually get off of here, since you've called, I'm gonna go ahead and ask the question for you. Russia and Ukraine, we've been seeing this battle go back and forth for 2 years. We've seen the Biden administration do what they've done and facilitate weapons for them. And now we've got the Trump administration that's joined in. Trump had campaigned that he can make this thing end before he took office, which hasn't happened. And it looks like we're continuously giving him weapons. And so, but now we got this deal. A deal that may potentially go through between Russia and the Ukraine. Zelensky's not very happy about it. You want to kind of give in some little detail on what's happening and what you think may transpire?
Yes. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, good. I'm like in the wilderness, so there's only like one cell tower within like 10 miles. So that's what I was trying to get to it. And so I just want to make sure my sound is good. Is it still good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so basically, I think, there's a lot of hype and hope about this meeting. And, a lot of people are saying that this is it, the war is going to end. And, Putin and Trump are going to carve up Ukraine and the war is going to end and that's it, But I want to just remind everybody that we are in the end times, and all of these wars have to come to pass before the Antichrist comes. The Bible is clear that there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. So, there could be all kinds of people saying, oh, this is it, the war's going to end and they're going to carve up Ukraine and maybe the war will end. we'll see. But even if it does end, it's not going to mean that there's going to suddenly be peace in the Eurasian area. You know, there's probably going to be another war that's going to pop up, maybe in the Baltics, maybe in the Caucasus. You know, who knows? But we're living in the end times, and all these wars have to happen. And I'm a big believer in the Philip Barnett prophecy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. I think you probably are, right?
I've heard of it.
So Pastor Philip Barnett, he's from Oklahoma originally, but he was a preacher in Ukraine for many years, I don't know, 10 or 20 years, and his wife is Ukrainian. He had a church in the capital, in Kyiv, and he posted a video in 2007. It's still on YouTube, but it's like it's very long, and it's like 360p quality, you know, because it was like 2007, so you know the quality wasn't as good back then of cameras and stuff like that, but it's like 2.5 hours long, and he describes in detail this vision that he had. God showed him the future war between Russia and Ukraine in 2007, and this was, you know, way before the Donbass war, which started in 2014, and the Euromaidan situation. I mean, that's, you know, you're talking years before that ever happened. And in his prophecy, he said that basically there's going to be a war between Russia and Ukraine. And God showed him this in a dream, and it was very detailed. And basically in the dream, God showed him that Russia was going to first invade Ukraine by land. And he actually drew on, you can watch the video for yourself and it'll blow your mind. He actually drew on like a whiteboard what he saw and the direction from where Russia was going to invade from. And it literally was 100% exactly the way that Russia ended up invading, you know, in 2022. I mean, identical. It was just totally 100% identical, the way that he drew it out on the whiteboard. And then he said that what would happen is that Western Ukraine would become like a safe haven. He said that Russia would take Eastern Ukraine up to the Dnieper River. So his prophecy basically said that Russia is going to go up to the Dnieper River. And then Western Ukraine would be a safe haven for Ukrainians and for Christians and also Jews. He said that there would also be persecution of Jews in Ukraine, which we have seen. Remember, I don't know if you remember, there was a Jewish cemetery that was hit by a Russian missile like 2 years ago. In the beginning of the war, they hit this Jewish cemetery directly with a missile, and some synagogues too. But anyway, so he first said that there would be a land invasion. Then he said that later on, you know, Western Ukraine would be a safe haven, which it is. And then he said later on there would be a nuclear strike on Ukraine that involved nuclear strikes on all 8 major cities in Ukraine. And he said the capital, Kiev, Kharkiv, Donetsk, you know, Kherson, Odessa, Dnipro, you know, all the big cities in eastern Ukraine, central Ukraine, western Ukraine wouldn't be touched. But he said that he saw mushroom clouds over those cities. And another thing he said that was pretty chilling was that before the actual land invasion, there would be a big exodus of people out of Ukraine. There would be a big evacuation. And we saw that. We saw 5 million, maybe more, officially 5 million Ukrainians leave right before the invasion. You know, I think it was even more than that. You know, how can you count every single person? I think it was like 10 million or so, but officially 5 million people left, you know, and he said that in his vision. That's what God showed him. There would be a big evacuation right before the land invasion. And then later on, there would be a second big evacuation right before the nuclear strikes. So then there would be another massive evacuation out of Ukraine, just like we saw before the land invasion. So I'm a believer in that prophecy and Pastor Barnett because everything he said is legitimate, and he wasn't doing it for money. He was literally preaching in Ukraine. He posted this like video that was really grainy. I mean, it's not like he was, trying to tell people, oh yeah, now please donate to me or something, or he was in some big mega church, like Joel Osteen or something. I think his motives are pure, and everything he said in 2007 came to pass. But aside from that, and that's called the Azov Mena prophecy. If you want to look it up, it's Azov Mena, AZOVMENA, Azov Mena prophecy, Pastor Philip Barnett. You got to watch the original video on YouTube. It's still up from 2007. That's the one you want to watch. It's like 3 hours long, but you have to make time and watch the whole thing. And then after the nuclear strikes on Ukraine, after that, in the prophecy, it says that there would actually be a nuclear war between Russia and the U.S. And he said that God showed him the cities that were going to get hit by Russian missiles and Russian warheads. And he said that the missiles would come out of the Gulf, that there were Russian subs in the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America. There were Russian subs in the Gulf, and they were going to launch missiles at various U.S. cities. I think he said St. Louis was one of them, some cities in Texas, but it was like 10 or 15 cities that would be hit by missiles from Russian subs in the Gulf. But regardless, whether you believe the prophecy or not, it's the end times, and we're going to see more and more of these wars, more conflict. So even if there's like a temporary peace or some kind of ceasefire, or maybe they carve up Ukraine in like a Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact type situation, it still doesn't mean that, oh yeah, we can just sit back and relax. It's all, peace on earth forever. The Bible's clear. The only one who can bring peace on earth is Jesus Christ, not Trump, not anybody else, So that's where I stand on that. Aside from that, I think that Trump is obviously trying to give a piece of, he's trying to exhaust all his options, it seems like. And I think at the very least, he wants to meet with Putin face to face, because he wants to look him in the eye. He wants to, maybe reestablish communication. Maybe he wants to talk some sense into him. I don't know. But a war so serious like this, we're talking about the biggest land war since World War II. People don't realize that, okay, because it hasn't really touched us yet here, but it will. It's inevitable that it's going to affect us. Aside from just oil prices and grain prices going up, it will affect us. It's just like World War II. The Nazis were taking over all of Europe, and we didn't feel anything, so we didn't get involved at all for several years until Hitler started sending U-boats into the Long Island Sound, into the Chesapeake Bay, okay? And then we were like, oh, no, this is now a serious problem, and we got to do something. So, we haven't been touched yet, but, we're talking millions of casualties here between Ukraine and Russia together combined. You're talking probably 2 million plus casualties at least. And so this is a massive war. It's not, like some minor conflict. And, we'll see what happens. But I think in a situation like this, if you're a leader of a country, you obviously want to meet the person that potentially is your adversary. If you can meet that person in person and look them in the eye, talk to them in person, it's a lot different than sending diplomats and representatives. And, it's like, you're buying a house or making, you're buying a new car. You want to go in person and you want to see that house. You want to talk to the seller, look them in the eye, ask questions, whatever. It's a lot different than when you have representatives doing that for you. And I think at the very least, what Trump wants to get out of this is he wants to at least be able to say, okay, I actually was able to meet him in person when Biden was not able to. I was actually able to talk to him, look him in the eye, face to face, man to man, And I think that's what Trump wants to do. He wants to have a good old-fashioned man-to-man conversation, before things get out of hand and before things escalate. And I think he wants to maybe get a personal feeling for what's going on in Putin's head, and that's the only way to do that is to meet somebody in person. Representatives are great, diplomats are great, but at the end of the day, you have to look that person in the eye, to get the full analysis and make your decisions. And I think Trump is kind of at a crossroads now too. I think on one, he has two choices, and he knows that. He either is going to try to continue the diplomatic route, maybe see if he can get Ukraine to cede territory to Russia, work something out, or the other option is to just go full steam ahead with sanctions, arming Ukraine, and trying to squeeze Putin and turn the screws more and force him into a ceasefire. So he's got like two roads he can take, and it's smart to meet in person before you decide which road to take, because they have serious consequences either road. So but that's sorry for the long-winded answer.
Oh, no, it's good. No, it's good. I do remember that, and I remember Paul from Off-Grid Desert Farming was talking about that particular pastor as well. And I could have this mixed up with something else, but wasn't that the same prophecy that talked about Texas as well having issues? That was like one of the signs of something going on here in the United States, that Texas would try to succeed during that period, or something along that line.
I think that potentially, yes. I can't 100% verify that, but
there was something.
Potentially.
Yeah, there was something with Texas. There was an issue going on that was causing problems, and that was kind of mixed in with the whole Russia thing. And I think that it was mentioned in there. And of course, we're seeing things going on in Texas now that are going to definitely cause things to spiral here in the United States over the next couple of days, weeks to come.
Right.
So we're gonna, probably have more protests and stuff we're gonna have to deal with in the streets. But
yes.
Off of that situation, what do you think about the federalization of Washington D.C.?
I personally think that this is a disguise for something else. I think that potentially that they want to pre-position assets before some big event happens. And so good excuse is, all right, we're going to federalize the DC police. It's not just federalizing the police. They're actually they've deployed 1,000 National Guardsmen to DC just today.
Yeah.
So, it's more than just, but he was talking about doing it in New York City and Chicago as well. So, I don't think that this is just, we're fighting crime, it's out of control. I think that potentially there's something big on the horizon, and they want to have control over the police, and they want to have National Guard on scene, ready to go, and that's what I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I heard Los Angeles was on that count too.
Okay.
Yeah, they're talking about federalizing Los Angeles, and along with that. So, I think you're onto something on that one. That makes a lot of sense that they would try to do that because of whatever's taking place. They know. And back to what you were talking about Trump wanting to meet with Putin. We're going to definitely see how that meeting goes, especially as Trump looks eye to eye with Putin. Because you can kind of tell a lot about, what's going on with the man when you see him eye to eye, as you already alluded to. And so we may see some more interesting steps take place when Trump gets back from his meeting with Putin as well. So
I think one thing I wanted to add quickly is that you have to think of Trump's background. He's a businessman. So you got to think of, that's what he knows. And that's, he grew up his dad was a businessman, his grandpa was a businessman, and from the time he was, old enough to walk, that's the world he was raised in, so he's coming at this from a businessman mentality. And anytime you think about what Trump's next moves are, what's going to happen, why is he doing this, blah, 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 you have to put yourself in the mindset of a businessman and how a businessman thinks, okay? If you're a businessman, you're not going to be making deals with somebody unless you meet them face to face. That's like one of the biggest, basic, principles of doing business. You want to meet, the person you're making a deal with in person, shake their hand, look them in the eye before you sign anything, before you make a deal. And that's where he's coming from on this, because there's a huge ramifications depending on what path he takes. There's big consequences either way. So maybe he wants to, follow that principle that he's used to doing in the business world, making big real estate deals and stuff. That's probably what he was doing, so.
Yeah. And you got to think too, with all this going on, China's kind of just sitting back and watching,
right?
Because they're just going to let us kind of duel it out. And then they're going to come in and just pick up the pieces, in my personal opinion. And we'll see, once, Lord forbid, but if things begin to, transpire and shake loose, Taiwan's going under. They're going to come in, take Taiwan, and then whatever pieces are left over, they'll come in, pick that up, and, we'll see a new paradigm, a new world shift, which, as you alluded to earlier, and I'm on the same agreement, this is really just a platform for the rise of the Antichrist and the new world system. Because we know that, as Bible prophecy tells us, the world's going to be in complete chaos during the time that the Antichrist comes into power, into fruition, because everybody's going to be looking for someone to come and fix this mess that the world's going to be in. And it's going to be in a state, if you're looking at a post-nuclear war type scenario with society being turned upside down, and 3 of your major predominant continents in the northern hemisphere, which will affect the rest of the world, because the entire Western world is going to be turned upside down between Europe and the United States. It's going to be a spiraling effect, which will throw the entire globe into complete chaos. Who's going to fix that? No one, because the people who normally would fix that aren't going to be able to fix it. So somebody's going to have to come in and step in and put things back into line, and that's where we see the man of perdition arise and take position on a global stage. And so, the beast system ariseth. That's what it looking like through these scenarios. So when it all sets up, we don't know. We're not giving a time frame of when it'll happen. Right. It's possible. It may not even happen in this administration. It could happen in the next one that comes on. Who knows? But we can see these things begin to transpire. So, but
yes.
Go ahead. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
I totally agree about Taiwan and the beast system. I mean, they're already putting in the foundations of the beast. We already have digital currencies now are becoming more commonplace. Artificial intelligence is now basically like every person has it, has access to artificial intelligence. I mean, it's not some exotic thing from a sci-fi movie. I mean, it's literally in everybody's house, and what we're going to see is YouTube is already using artificial intelligence, and they're going to actually implement a new artificial intelligence system. I don't know if you heard about this, but tomorrow they're going to start a new system where they're going to use AI to determine if you're under 18 or over 18. And if their system determines for whatever reason that you're under 18, or it thinks that you're under 18, maybe let's say one day you watched a cartoon show with your kid on your YouTube account, and then it flags your channel as, oh no, this is potentially under 18 because they watched Nickelodeon, one time. Now what they're going to do is they're going to say, all right, you have to prove that you're over 18 Otherwise, you're not going to be able to watch anything but Nickelodeon. And the only way to do that is you're going to have to provide driver's license or face print. And then they also mentioned a credit card. And they said that they can retain that information for up to 2 years. Okay? Mm-hmm. So this just reminds me of the whole COVID thing where they were forcing, the jab and all that. And so they can implement systems like that where, they try to basically squeeze people. And this is the beginning stages of the beast, the mark of the beast, where they implement these things where, okay, you want to, because the mark of the beast is a mark on your right hand and forehead. You won't be able to buy or sell without it, and so we're getting closer to that point because, we're seeing how they're implementing AI into everything and digital currencies and, real ID, facial recognition, Big Brother. I mean, there's security cameras everywhere now, and they're making this giant apparatus, where they can just look at you're walking down the street, they can capture your face print and they know everything about you. Boom, 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 boom. Where you live, all your addresses, how many guns you own, blah, blah, blah. And they can track you, your vehicles now. Almost every new car has GPS in it. Even if you don't activate the OnStar on your vehicle, there's a GPS receiver in your vehicle. And they can reverse track you whether you want to or not. Whether you turn off your location, you can manually turn the location off on your phone, but they can still track you. They can still override that and figure out where you're going, what your activities are. They can look at your search history. And now with AI, they already started doing this like 15 years ago under Obama when they had the big, data center in Utah, the NSA data center, which Snowden was famous for exposing. But now with AI, and then not just AI, but quantum computing is like, going from, that's like the next step up in computing power and computers. That's like going from dial-up 56K AOL in 1995 to what we have now, 5G wireless, where your phone is literally more powerful and faster than like 20 Macintosh computers, 30 years ago. And so quantum computing is going to be the next step up because with quantum computing, they're using they're using light instead of electricity for data, moving data through wires, So now when you use your computer, they use low voltage electricity in your circuit board and everything. And electricity is not as fast as light, right? So light is, the speed of light. So imagine how that translates into computing power. They can make supercomputers with these quantum computers that will literally render all current encryption algorithms useless. Because if you have a quantum computer, I mean, you can crack like any password, brute force like a trillion combinations in like 30 minutes, and so that combined with quantum computing combined with artificial intelligence is going to enable them to really put the finishing touches and on this system. You know what I mean? That's like the final things that they need to have in place.
Yeah, and I've reported on this before, not too long ago, but Microsoft is actually working on the quantum computer chip to be installed on the next generation of computers to come out. And so when that happens, it's under my personal opinion because, everything's going to have to connect and talk to each other on the same plane. Once quantum computers comes out for home use, for cell phones and all these things, which we're not that far from, and it is going to be more expensive. But the standard at-home computer, the computers and stuff that we're using now, everything is going to have to be replaced all the way down the line. And they're going to need the quantum computers to handle all the information and data that's coming from these AI centers that are popping up all over the place and to come from the mainframe and the main AI source, which we don't know where that is. but everything is going to need that space, and it's going to take quantum computing to be able to digest all the data that's being built up from artificial intelligence. And so in order to make it a free-flowing system, all computers, all electronics that will be connected into that will have to be switched over to quantum computing chips.
Right.
And I think we're within at least a year to 2 years away from that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then I personally think if they're getting ready to release these chips for the general consumer, that means that the U.S. government, the Chinese government, Russia, all the major powers, they already have quantum computers set up for their, supercomputing and their data centers and all that stuff,
Yeah.
Because we're always the ones that get everything last. We're the peasants. They're the kings and the serfs and all that. So they get everything first, and then they give us the breadcrumbs after, after they feast on, whatever their big loaf of bread, that we get the breadcrumbs. Okay, here you go, you peasants, have some quantum computing chips. But really, they already have it. The government already has it, if that's the case. And I heard that China's they have the largest supercomputer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but China right now has the largest supercomputer in the world.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, China. We're working on a massive supercomputer to beat China's, but China actually has an advantage over us on that right now. Another thing with quantum computing is that it's going to enable potentially like space travel and different types of exotic technologies, because the computer is going to be able to do a lot more work a lot faster. And so, potentially in the next 5 years, we could see like a big leap in technology, from our AI being integrated. I mean, I would imagine that they're going to probably integrate AI into your car. They're going to integrate it into everything, and then, with the quantum computing, it's going to just...
They're already, it's already in the plans. I can tell you that for sure.
Okay.
They're doing it.
Okay, I figured.
yeah, I can tell you that, or I already know.
Okay.
Can't tell you how I know, but I do know.
You have inside info. We'll just leave it at that, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely happening.
So, potentially there could be a leap in technology, which could, all different types of vaccines and medical treatments they may start coming out with, which I think initially will be good and people are going to see it as a good thing. But, there's always a nefarious side of it, the New World Order and the elites, they always have an agenda behind something. And so, but I think that we're getting close to the mark of the beast. I don't know when that's going to be, but, you can see the technology just really rapidly advancing. I mean, it's just crazy. Like when I was a kid, watching like Terminator movies, I never ever thought that could happen one day, like artificial intelligence, robots. I mean, we're seeing in Ukraine, they have these robots in Ukraine that they're using, the Russians, the Ukrainians on the battlefield. I'm sure Lockheed Martin and Skunk Works probably already have real life Terminators, and they're actually talking about implementing AI into our stealth bombers. Mm-hmm. They already have self-flying fighter jets, F-16s, F-35s. They're actually creating a new F-35 that's going to have AI in it, and it's going to basically fly by itself and be able to drop bombs on targets by itself, make decisions on the fly, change plans, whatever. And the new B-21s, the new stealth bombers are going to have AI, and they're going to be self-piloted or piloted by a man. So, that is just straight out of Hollywood Terminator. That's exactly what happens in the movie, is that they take AI and they put it in control of the U.S. nuclear forces, because they determined at some point, and, it's valid, our nuclear forces, people think it's just like a button that you press. There's like a red button on Putin's desk or Trump's desk, and they just push it and boom, everything launches. It doesn't work that way. There's tens of thousands of people involved that have to be mobilized. When the president orders a nuclear strike, you have the bomber pilots. The bomber pilots have to drop what they're doing, run to their plane, and take off immediately. So think of like a fire department. They get the bell, and then the firefighter, he could be having dinner with his wife. He could be out at the pool hall having a few brews with his friends, and he's got to drive to the firehouse, put his gear on. Same thing with our bombers. Same thing with the missile silos. Okay, the missile ears in the silos, they have to physically turn keys and go through authentication steps. And you have thousands of people doing all these things, so it's not a very efficient way to launch a big retaliatory strike where you need time, you need to do it quickly, you can't have any hiccups. And so in the movies, they basically put AI in control of the nuclear forces, so this way you don't have any chances of, let's say, one guy being a little bit late to the stealth bomber and the bomber gets destroyed, or one guy doesn't want to launch a missile in the silo because he has cold feet and he feels like, I don't want to be responsible for killing millions of civilians, and so he has cold feet. You won't have any of that because the computer is just going to launch it by itself,
Right.
And we're getting to that point now because they're already doing the stealth bombers with it. They're doing the F-16s, the F-35s. They're putting AI in all these planes so they can fly by themselves, attack by themselves. You don't need people at all. And in many cases, the AI is actually better than people because it's a machine. So it has much larger computing power, analysis and things like that. So in many ways, the machine pilots fly better than the human pilots do,
Yeah.
And so that's where we get to real dangerous territory, because then you have an AI system which is prone to glitches, and in the movies it becomes self-aware and launches missiles against the U.S., against Russia, and that causes a nuclear war because the Russians think that America launched the missiles at them, so they launch a counterattack. But that was just the AI purposely doing that to fool the Russians into thinking that, it was the Americans, but it was really the AI system that did that because it saw human beings. It did calculations. It became self-aware and did calculations and determined that human beings are a threat to planet Earth and they need to be eradicated. And so, that could easily happen,
Yeah. Kind of like iRobot.
Right. Kind of like iRobot, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, like we've mentioned before, and we've been talking about AI for the last several weeks here on the channels. We've been seeing things just really progressively move quickly in that technology. This is definitely a platform that's being built for the new, for the Antichrist system, and that's the direction we're heading. And we're not trying to put fear in anybody or anything like that, but we're just trying to create an awareness of the season, the time that we're in, and your reaction to this isn't to be afraid, but your reaction to this should be to get your life on track and get your heart right with God. Receive Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior of your life, and be ready for the next steps to come. Which, if you're a Christian, that's to be ready to be taken out of this world and be at the Lamb's the Lamb's Supper in heaven, while chaos and destruction and the wrath of God take place here on earth. So that's pretty much the reaction of that there should be. Greg, I appreciate you coming on tonight. I know it was a bit of a hustle to get here this evening and having to maneuver some stuff. We do plan on having a continuation of this conversation, and in the next couple of weeks, probably going to have you on around September 2nd, the first Tuesday in September. If nothing, too crazy happens between now and then, but we'll have a follow-up to this particular conversation. And of course, I'm pretty sure we will have something to discuss concerning Putin and Trump's visit, and we may even have more clarification of what's going to happen next by then too. So
yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
So definitely a follow-up coming up here in the next 3 weeks with this particular subject. But yeah, we appreciate you having you on tonight, sir.
So thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to coming back.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you here on September 2nd.
Sounds good. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was Greg with NyPrepper. So great interview. Always good to have him on. A good friend of ours here on Daily Excellence, and so we look forward to doing that again with him on September 2nd. So next week we're hoping to have a new guest on here. We'll give you guys more information in the comments or in the community section when we get things ironed out. And then in 2 weeks, we got L.A. Miserably. It's going to be coming on. We're going to continue on this conversation, kind of a piggyback off of what we just did here as we look at the revealing of the Antichrist. We're going to get into with L.A. Miserably and pick his mind, and also talk about his interview he had with the Mahdi coming up. So that'll be happening. Until then, we will continue with doing whatever we're doing here. In about 10 minutes, we will be going live over on DE Studios with a rebroadcast from Mike from COT. So you don't want to miss that. Our moderators will be heading over that direction here pretty soon. Remember, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Pastor Talk happening here on the channel. So we should definitely have you guys be here with us for that. It's a night of devotional. We don't really get into anything like we do on Tuesday nights or on the weekends, because we keep that particular time on Wednesdays for teaching, for prayer, for encouraging, and just good family time. Kind of sit back, get a break from everything, and just a good time of fellowship on Wednesday nights. And so we don't usually dive into these particular subjects on Wednesday nights, but we keep that as a night just to kind of sit back and just enjoy good Christian fellowship on Wednesday nights. So be sure you guys are here at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. If you like and you enjoyed the broadcast this evening, please give us a like, share, thumbs up. Make sure you can share the videos around. Make sure you tag with the little A, tag it at NyPrepper and Daily Excellence. That'll help get the videos out even further. If you decide to share those over on your platforms, we would really appreciate that. I know Greg would appreciate over on his end as well. But we thank you guys so much for being on here. God bless you. Remember, you may be the only Jesus someone sees this week, so please keep a smile on your face. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for Pastor Talk. Good night, everyone.